I thought it was harmless until it cost me everything. My name is Julia. I'm 32, and I ruined my marriage over what I convinced myself was just a harmless dinner. It was supposed to be nothing. One evening, one decision, a few hours out with my boss to celebrate a successful project. That's all, or at least that's what I told myself. But that small choice, one that felt so insignificant at the time, rippled through my life like a wrecking ball. And now, I'm sitting alone in an apartment that echoes with memories, trying to understand how everything spiraled so fast. My husband Caleb is the kind of man people admire. Grounded, reliable in a way that felt like home. When we first met, it was his stillness that drew me in. Where I was impulsive, he was steady. Where I doubted, he reassured. Wanted a world full of chaos. Caleb made me feel safe. He never raised his voice, never tried to control me, never acted suspicious. Number 2. No matter where I went or who I talked to, his trust was absolute. First, I adored him for that. Isn't that what everyone dreams of? A partner who gives you space without suspicion, who trusts you without hesitation? But over time, that very calmness began to feel cold. No matter what I did, he never seemed rattled. I could come home late, and he'd greet me with a kiss and a "did you have fun?" If someone flirted with me, he'd joke about it like it meant nothing. And it started to eat at me. I didn't want a possessive man. I want to be clear about that. I started craving something that showed I was irreplaceable, that I mattered enough to stir an emotion. I wasn't looking for drama. I just wanted to feel like I wasn't just expected, like I wasn't just some dependable piece of furniture he knew would always be there. That's when the thought crept in. What if I tested him not in a manipulative way, at least that's what I told myself, but in a way that might wake him up? To Martin, my boss, charismatic, charming, the kind of man who knew how to read a room and say exactly what someone needed to hear. He had always been complimentary, a little too smooth, but nothing I couldn't handle. One evening after a major presentation we both worked hard on, he invited me out to dinner, just the two of us. No team, no pretense of work. I knew what it looked like. I knew what it could turn into. But I told myself it was innocent, that I deserved to celebrate, that Caleb wouldn't mind. When Caleb suggested we go out that same night, completely unaware of Martin's invitation, I lied. I told him it was a group dinner with the office. Nothing important. I wanted to see if he'd push back, ask questions, maybe even get jealous, but he didn't. He smiled softly, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "Have fun, Jules." And for some reason, that enraged me. It was like screaming into a void. Was I really that insignificant, so I left? I told myself I was proving a point. But in truth, I was, setting fire to everything I'd built. When I came home, Caleb was still awake, sitting on the couch with a book in his lap. He asked how dinner went. His tone was calm as always, but the air felt different, thinner. I gave him a vague answer, pretending like it was no big deal. But I couldn't meet his eyes. Over the next few days, he changed, but not in the way I expected. He didn't confront me. He didn't accuse. He just pulled away. The conversations grew. Shorter, the warmth in his eyes dulled. The way he used to instinctively reach for my hand in bed. Then one evening he asked, "Did you go out with Martin alone?" No anger, no tension in his voice, just quiet finality. I froze. Part of me wanted to lie again, but something in his eyes, so still, so tired, made it impossible. "Yes," I whispered. But it wasn't like that. It was just dinner. He nodded once, said "I see," and walked out of the room. That was the moment I knew I had broken something I couldn't fix. Days passed, then weeks. I tried to bring us back, cooked his favorite meals, asked him about his day, tried to initiate moments of affection. But it was like trying to hold on to smoke until one night after a long stretch of silence. I finally asked him, "Caleb, can we talk? Please, I want to fix this." He looked at me, his expression unreadable, and said, "I think we're done." I gasped, like someone had hit me. "What, you're just giving up?" Shook his head. "You think this is sudden, but I've been trying for years to make you feel loved. And all this time, it's felt like you've been waiting for someone else." I tried to defend myself, begged. I said I'd stop, that I'd never try to make him jealous. Again, but he was already gone. He left the next day. Just like that, my marriage was over. And then the fallout began. Martin, the man I thought was giving me attention I lacked, started behaving differently. His compliments turned into suggestions. His charm curdled into expectation. The attention I had once sought felt dirty, cheap. Reported him to HR when he crossed the line, but the damage was done. Coworkers whispered behind my back. Some distanced themselves. Others looked at me like I was the villain in a story I didn't know I was writing. My family wasn't any better. My sister, with more bitterness than sympathy, said, "You always wanted more, now you got it." Even Caleb's parents, who once treated me like a daughter, cut all ties. I was alone. And for the first time in my life, I realized what that truly meant. I tried to provoke Caleb to prove he cared. But the whole time, I was the one failing to see how much he already did. In the way he trusted me, in the quiet steadiness he offered, in the peace he gave me when the world felt too loud. But I wanted fireworks, not realizing the gentle flame was what kept our home warm. I tested his love, but I ended up testing his limits. And he reached his breaking point. Months have passed since then. The divorce is finalized. The apartment is quiet. I've left that job, started over somewhere new, somewhere without reminders of what I lost. I'm in therapy now. I'm working on myself, on why I craved chaos. I equated love with jealousy. Why I destroyed something good because it didn't look the way I thought it should. The pain hasn't disappeared. It comes in waves. Sometimes a song or a smell or a photo will break me all over again. But I'm learning. I'm learning that love isn't loud. It's not reactive. It doesn't need to shout to be real. Sometimes love is the quiet way someone holds space for you. The way they listen, the way they let you be without trying to mold you into something else. Caleb gave me that every day, and I threw it away, chasing a story that only ever existed in my own head. If I ever find love again, if I'm ever lucky enough to be given another chance, I'll know better. To anyone out there who's caught in the same trap I was, listen to me. Don't wait for jealousy to validate your worth. Don't mistake peace for apathy. And don't destroy something beautiful just because it doesn't come with fireworks. 'Cause trust me, one night can change everything. Sometimes you don't get a second chance.